Three chefs, 4 ingredients, only one chance to win. The challenge. Create an unforgettable meal from the items their audience voted for before time runs out. Their distinguished group of subscribers will critique their work, and they must face the dreaded chopping block. Who will win their audience's taste buds, and who will be chopped? The ingredients are miso paste, spaghetti squash, aquafaba, and fresh mangoes. Let's meet one of our contestants.
To be honest, I was very confused when I saw the list of ingredients that you guys so lovingly chose for us, because how the is spaghetti squash supposed to go with aquafaba? After much consideration and brainstorming, I have decided to go sweet instead of savory, so I am going to attempt to make some baked toasted coconut donuts with a mango and salted caramel glaze and some spaghetti squash clusters to go on top. I think spaghetti squash was definitely the hardest, and it has a texture that is kind of similar to coconut, at least in the fact that it's stringy. So I'm going to attempt to deep fry it so it gets crispy and then put that on top of the donut as a garnish. I'm a little scared as to how it's going to turn out, but I think I can nail it. But I guess you guys will see how I did right now.
All right, guys, we're going to start out with our donuts. And first we're going to make some aquafaba. So I'm using my All Clad Prep and Cook, which has this fancy little blade that will help whip the aquafaba. But you can also use a standing mixer or an electric mixer if you like. And if you didn't know, aquafaba is the liquid that is in a can of chickpeas. So I'm using salted aquafaba here, and I would recommend doing that for this recipe. We're going to beat this at a medium speed for about 7 minutes until it gets fluffier. But in the meantime, we're going to work on the rest of our ingredients for our donuts. So starting with the dry mix, we're going to add some almond flour, oat flour, tapioca starch, some coconut shreds, baking powder, and some salt into a bowl, and then you're just going to whisk that together until everything is evenly incorporated. Then moving on to our wet ingredients, we're going to be using some toasted coconut butter to make these toasted coconut donuts. I have a blog post on how to make your own toasted coconut butter. As you can see, it's very nutty and rich in flavor and liquidy and creamy and dreamy, so you guys should totally check that out. If you want to use regular coconut butter, you can too, but they won't be toasted coconut donuts, so I don't know, it will be different. But we're going to add that into our bowl along with some coconut sugar and some non-dairy milk. I'm using almond milk. You just want to make sure it is at room temperature so it doesn't harden the coconut butter. We're also going to add in some vanilla extract, and then once again, just whisk everything until the coconut sugar is dissolved into the mixture. Now at this point, as you can see, our aquafaba has changed drastically and it is a light and fluffy cloud, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of cream of tartar to it and beat it for another 3 minutes, and this helps to stiffen the peaks of the aquafaba. So in this case, it kind of acts like egg whites, but it's completely vegan. So once our aquafaba has set, we can remove it. And now we're going to complete our dough. So we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients and then mix everything together until the batter is evenly mixed and there aren't any dry spots, and it will be pretty thick. And so first we're going to start out by adding half of our aquafaba and then folding this into the dough. And it may be a little hard at first, and yes, this is going to deflate. That is totally okay. As you can see here, the mixture is still increasing in volume and becoming slightly fluffy. So after you do the first half, you're going to add the second half to the bowl and then repeat the same process. And again, it's going to deflate some, but it is loosening up the dough mixture a little, and that's really what we want. And then it will still be pretty fluffy once we get it into the oven. And at the end of this process, your dough will be slightly lighter and fluffy, and you should try to have the aquafaba evenly mixed into everything. So now we're going to make some donuts. Obviously, I'm using silicone donut pans, and I did grease them a little bit. You're just going to add your batter equally into all 12 donuts and then pop those into the oven. And in the meantime, we're going to work on some of our toppings. So first we're going to make a salted caramel sauce by adding some coconut sugar, some full fat coconut milk, and some of the miso paste, which is one of our chopped ingredients, into a saucepan. Then we're going to whisk everything together, bring it to a simmer, and then continually whisk it until it thickens. Depending on how much you make, it will take anywhere from around 5 to 10 minutes. But I love this. This sauce, guys, tastes exactly like salted caramel for some reason, but it's completely vegan, and I really think the miso helps to increase the depth of flavor and add some nice umami to the salted caramel as well. And the other topping we're going to make is a mango glaze. So this is going to be the main frosting for the donuts. We are going to cook it in a similar way, but first we're going to blend everything together. So I have some fresh mango, some coconut milk, some cornstarch, which is going to help thicken the recipe, and a pinch of salt. And you're just going to blend this together until it forms a smooth liquid, and then we're going to pour it into the saucepan, bring it to a simmer, and cook it down in the same way that we did the caramel sauce. And my mango was really ripe and sweet, so I didn't feel the need to add any extra sugar, but if you wanted to, you could definitely add in additional maple syrup. So now our donuts are ready, and I want to show you, I would definitely recommend using silicone donut pans. I just sort of wiggle the outer casing, I guess, of the donut, and then it pops right out of the pan, and look how beautiful that looks, guys. Oh my gosh, I am so very happy with these. So now we're going to top our donuts. So we're going to dip our donut into the mango glaze and sort of flick your wrist like I'm doing here, and then that's how you get a nice even coating. And then we're actually just going to set that aside for now and work on our spaghetti squash topping. So guys, I'm really lazy and I like to cook spaghetti squash in the microwave. You can do it in the oven, but the microwave is just so much faster and it comes out exactly the same. So you're going to cut your spaghetti squash in half, use a spoon to scoop out the inner seed portion, and then you're going to need a microwave safe glass pan and put in like a cup or two of water. You want like an inch or so in the bottom of the pan. Then just place your spaghetti squash face side down and you're going to microwave it for a few minutes. I think mine was about 12 in total. And then you'll know when your spaghetti squash is done when you can easily pierce it with a fork like I'm doing here. Then you're just going to carefully remove it from the liquid. Do be careful because it will still be pretty hot. You could even let it cool some. And just use a fork to scoop out the insides and make your spaghetti squash shreds. So even if you don't make this for the donuts, because I'll admit it's kind of weird, now you know how to make spaghetti squash if you didn't already before. But I'm trying to use this because it's for our chop challenge, trying to be creative, guys. So I did want to attempt to dry out the spaghetti squash a little bit before I fried it. So I just put it on a clean dish towel and then pressed it a little bit. And then came the pretty easy part. I just put a large quantity of coconut oil into a pan, and also I decided to use coconut oil to complement the flavor of my toasted coconut donuts, guys. I'm a professional, okay? Anyways, I just added the spaghetti squash, and the process is pretty simple. You're just going to fry it, and as you can see, it slowly starts to dehydrate a little bit and get a little more brown. So at this point, you can flip it over, and I just continued to cook it, and some pieces did cook faster than others. I guess the heat on my pan wasn't incredibly even, so I just removed them as they got cooked. And then the secret that I have learned from Chopped is that if you don't salt something after you fry it, you are a failure in life. So I topped mine with a little bit of pink salt because that's what you're supposed to do. Now we're going to finish our donut. So our caramel sauce should have thickened by now. So we're going to add a drizzle of that and then a little dollop of our fried spaghetti squash poof cluster thing. And that's it. All right, guys. Been filming since 9 a.m. It's now 5 p.m. I finally finished.
Your donuts look bomb though. So.
I'm feeling delirious. So what did you guys make for this challenge?
We made a spaghetti squash bread. It's filled with aquafaba, it's super fluffy and sweet. And then we made a mango miso caramel.
Yum.
I was actually like, what did we make?
Well, you guys were here all day, but I made a toasted coconut donut with a mango glaze with a miso salted caramel and a spaghetti squash accoutrement thing.
Fancy.
It does look fancy.
Let's do it.
Oh wow. I like that spaghetti squash.
Yeah?
I didn't get it yet.
I'll put it.
Oh, I ate all of it.
I guess anything that's deep fried. Wow,
Yeah,
Chris is
sounds
finished.
And these are gluten-free?
Yes, they are.
Damn.
So that's it for my recipe, and now you guys have to vote. So in the top corner of your screen, right there. Vote whose recipe you want to win, but make sure you watch Jasmine and Chris's too. I'll have it linked in the description of the video. And then are we doing this next month?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll pin a top comment and you guys can comment your recipe or ingredient suggestions, and then the top 2 from my channel, the top 2 from their channel will be our next 4 options.
You can't choose any that have been chosen already.
Yes.
I hope it's not as hard as this one.
I know. We were
This was
kinda-
very challenging.
All right, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!